Yeah. These cruisers on Friday night,
Yeah.
you know, and there were like 4 different flyers in my car by the time I left.
I bet,
That people were doing it.
I know,
So
that's why I
it's-
wanna get there, just a couple.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's like,
Okay, we'll, go ahead and start. This is Gold Rush, June 1st, 6:30. So, Jim is, having her head eye surgery today, or, yeah. And I think everybody's here otherwise.
Christine is.
Christine,
she left for Italy today, or yesterday,
That's
Christine,
no excuse.
yeah, she may,
right,
come-
that's no excuse, get off that plane.
she may come late if she does come, so what she told me, so.
Wow.
All right, approval of the agenda. Yeah, Sergeant Taylor Schoenfelder, I'm gonna move him up to after the treasurer's report. And, so he can take off, so I make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Second.
Other comments? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Right.
May 4th meeting notes. I never got a copy of them.
I wasn't here.
Christine did them, and she's gonna send them to you.
I never got it.
A blind copy, everybody. So,
I wonder if I know, hold on.
I looked at the draft, I responded back and made a couple changes, but so we'll send that out with the meeting notes.
I'm just gonna make sure, see if she didn't send to me quick before we left.
That answers, send them to, Joanne, so she can blind copy the committee, so.
No, I just have Alyssa's.
So we will wait to approve those in July.
So we really can't approve them, so we'll approve them at the, July meeting. All right. Okay. Sergeant, you want to introduce yourself? and
Yeah,
share your
absolutely.
conversations that you've had with Joanne about the hours.
Yeah, yep, so I'm Sergeant Taylor Schoenfelder with the Sheriff's Office. You guys may have worked with Kelly Lee in the past on anything. I took over his position, he was promoted, went back to the patrol division, so I'm working in his spot in training and emergency management. So Joanne reached out, provided the hours that you guys were interested in for this year. I think they're very similar, if not exactly the same as last year. No issues on our end with staffing or anything like that. I relayed that to Joanne, so we're fine moving forward with what you guys provided for us. I don't have any specific questions for you guys, so we kind of have.
Have you come out previously to the Gold Rush events or signed up?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Have you worked in the Gold Rush?
I have, but it's probably been like 8 years for me, so I usually work just a couple. I have enough seniority where I work a couple different ones, and those are the ones that I work, and I don't have to really do anything else, but no, I've worked a couple in the past, and it's always been a smooth running operation for the most part. So.
Yeah, those slots fill up fast.
They do, yeah. Yep, and as a sergeant now, we don't have first pick anymore. So. Goes to everybody else.
Comes with the job.
Yeah.
So probably, when you were here last, we were working like 72 hours.
Okay.
So we've cut it back quite a bit to 46.
Yeah, I think we're at, 46, yep.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have the campground anymore, which was a big part of it too.
Sure.
And then just
A
so you
little bit later
know,
in the night too. Yes.
last year and this year, all the vendors and shoppers pretty much will just be on the west side,
Okay.
not the east side.
Okay.
So that's a change from 8 years ago.
And we are on Thursday trying to do things a little different, so there might be a little bit of,
Oh, the entrance,
yeah, there might be a
Points.
little bit of, I don't know.
It's the same every year. So yeah.
Disgruntled.
But you're gonna be here at 8, 7 o'clock, I think, 7 to 8. So you'll be
Yeah,
here
Thursday,
first thing
yeah.
morning.
Yeah.
7, 8, and then you got, looks like.
You got doubles at 10.
Yep.
10, 11, 12, 1. Yeah, we should have everybody checked in, I think, by that time.
Double until 2 o'clock and then wrapping up at 3 o'clock for us on Thursday.
But Dana, why don't you explain the new process for
So we're
vendors coming in.
we're trying to allow vendors to set up. The people that are setting up like on an inside of a lot to get in first.
Sure.
So we gave them a green, I think, paper on with their. Letter, their contract, they would have gotten a timing, so it's only, I think, is it a half-hour difference? So the first people will enter at 11 with the green.
And those are the vendors.
Yes,
Okay.
and we're asking them to line up at what end, Joanne? Did we say that on there?
Yeah, it says green like south entrance and white is north entrance or something like that.
This is new, it was a request by our vendors, but it's also something that some of them are not. We're expecting some people to just, so that might be the only.
Okay.
Whenever there's something new, there's always a little bit of contention there,
Yeah.
so.
So
I don't know
is
how
there-
much we're interested in policing people. I think it's more of a hopefully vendors will respect us and respect each other and follow that, but.
Cause I was even thinking it's gonna be hard. A lot of those people have really big rigs. They got a big truck, they got a big trailer, and then you're like, oh, you're in the wrong line. It's gonna be hard for them to get out or even find place to get around and turn around and
Well,
get to another
Yeah.
place. So there is gonna
It
be a
might-
lot of,
In that case too, it might be more about like, hey, could you just stay put here? And let the 11 o'clock people go.
Yeah, is there
And then-
any ability to stage them on the east side anywhere until?
Oh, through.
On
Instead,
The one way,
right.
yeah, in the past,
I mean, yeah, they
Yeah.
could pull in and then pull around. That's gonna be gravel over there
Yeah.
probably. So I don't know how many of them will, I mean, they'll probably have to drive it eventually anyway, but. There's options. Again, we're not really like, we don't want any like punitive. Anything like that. It's more of a, you asked for this, we're trying to provide it
Yeah.
for you. We're gonna see how it works.
I think that's part of the message is that it's your request, the vendor's request, we're just trying to make it work, so. What we may want to, we haven't really talked about this detailed, but what we may want to do is just have a couple of us go down the line. And talk to the vendors between 10 and 11 or whatever, and just say, just make sure you got the green card. Go at 11 if you're yellow, please wait, we'll
Mhm.
come around you, just kind of
Yeah.
touch base with as many as we can, maybe it takes 3 or 4 of us, but.
Mhm.
so I do that. I did that last year and the year before on the south, down here by the city garage going all the way out to the
Fourth Street.
overpass. I did check in with everybody because I was handing out those other sheets about how to call for ice or what, get help
Yeah,
or whatever. They seem to really like that. Like, they're like, everyone's, oh, good morning, and what time is it? Let us in early, and
Yeah, that's
all kind of
good.
razzed up,
Yeah.
like they're all excited.
Yeah.
They're usually open to that. Usually they're all camped out in the street. They're not even in their cars. So
Right,
it's kind
right.
of easy to just drive down the line and talk to
Yeah,
them.
that's a good idea, just to, but other than that, it should be pretty status quo.
So that maybe kind of help diffuse the confusion and.
Yeah.
Be proactive, but it emphasizes it's a vendor request, so. That's what we're trying to adhere to, so.
So do you have like a morning briefing or anything like that where?
Well, in the past, what we do is usually around 10 o'clock down at the information booth down by the post office.
Yeah.
So what we do is. We assign members either stand at Minnesota Avenue by the VFW and one up here by the corner of 4th Street, and Minnesota Avenue. There's one over here on 4th Street by Public Works. And one on 2nd Street, the road that comes down from the cemetery.
Mhm.
And we just like to have one of our Gold Rush members stand there and 11 o'clock, we'll let people in, everybody be on their time, same time, so just kind of hold back and keep people from coming in before 11.
Okay.
This year. In the past, it's been noon, and then we moved it up to 11. And now we're splitting the difference with this yellow-green card thing, so.
Okay, so yellow cards are the later ones.
Green is, and I just sent you a letter.
Okay, perfect.
That we sent out to the vendors with telling them about the green piece of paper versus the yellow piece of
Okay.
paper. And I think the green, we asked them to stage on the north side of town, but you'll see that in the
Got
letter.
it. Okay.
Okay.
And again, let's not. I mean, I don't want to put this, but we're not gonna ask people to move if they're in line.
Right,
We just ask them to stay put.
that
And-
works.
And if they don't-
People driving by, yeah, but Thank God, but
There's a reason for it.
It's all we can, yeah, that's the best we can do.
right. Anything else other than
So we have the ability to, bring like our rangers up or anything like that. Is that something that would be beneficial for us to get around better, or? Do we typically just bring squads, or what do you guys?
Usually
think?
we have one golf cart. We have a sheriff's golf cart.
Okay,
So they usually just park their squads at the post office, which is right behind the information booth.
Okay.
And then they have just one though, right? They usually ride together.
Yep.
Or
Yeah.
whatever they're doing during the day.
Okay.
Um,
so if that works out for you, then.
yeah, I think we already have a golf cart reserved for them.
And then we've got radios, so you'll be listening to us too, okay, so.
Yep. You got it. Okay.
And the post office lets us, have you mentioned that the post office will let you park in the, like the northeast corner of the, behind the post office. They've been pretty good about that.
All right.
And then usually whoever's here on Sunday. Usually one of them does jump in a squad and helps lead our parade.
Okay.
Just for like 15-20 minutes. And I think the other one stays in the golf cart, like in town here.
20th?
Yeah,
So
that's,
I don't have anybody on my schedule for Sunday.
Saturday.
oh, Saturday, I'm so sorry, it's Saturday, what am I
Yeah.
saying? It's Saturday, usually around whoever's on that mid-afternoon, 2 o'clock-ish shift.
Okay.
It'd be one of those folks, and it's 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, I should-
They line up at gas and go and then proceed in, and so.
It's short,
Does that work? Yeah.
it's short, it's gas and go, right down Minnesota Ave, out to the park and done. It's 15-20 minutes.
Any other questions for me?
I don't think so. Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. I'll leave you with a couple business cards.
Sergeant, Ren is our new contact for the city.
Yeah, how's that going?
Good. He
Good.
just started, in the last month, I guess.
Yeah, I was very against his promotion because he was one of my trainers.
So you lost
Yeah, it was very difficult to replace him. So I told the sheriff, no.
He didn't mention your name at all, so.
Oh, great. Well, I'll have to make sure of that. Yeah, no.
And Sergeant Chambers previously, he's gone to different position now. too,
Yep,
so.
he's heading up our civil division now. So yeah, all sorts of changes in the last couple months. It's been crazy. All right, well, I'll get out of your guys' hair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your service.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Ladies.
It's in there.
All right, we'll, jump back up to the treasurer's report. A copy of the, list of email to us this morning or this afternoon. She compared last year, the bottom to 2023, and we're within $6,000 of where we were last year, so. That was as of yesterday. Any questions there? Okay. All right, update on the Gold Rush bylaw change. So in your packet is just a brief overview of, where we're at with, our discussions, with Mike and the council. So, and this is for our discussion as well, but there's a general consensus, and any of the council members, please comment as well. There's a general consensus from the council to separate Gold Rush from the city. And, there's in the letter we got from Mike to the council members, attorney-client privilege, it listed the different things that could work out better and things that have changed since we were incorporated. And, in our discussion, I think it was just felt like it was probably the best thing to do and probably meet us make it more legal, if you will, in today's current age, so. So tonight, I guess we'd like to have input from the residents, Corey, Christine, Melissa, what your thoughts are of separating from the city and so what, let me just, we'll kind of summarize that if we share some other comments here. So going forward, nothing will happen before Gold Rush this year. So it's all gonna be after September, in September, and maybe even November when we have our last annual meeting as such. It's being proposed that an ad hoc committee, 2 council members, representatives assist Mike and Sunny with drafting the amendments to the bylaws with the new organization. And ad hoc committees are not public meetings, so just with two council members. So there's like a 5-step approval process of identifying how we go through identifying the bylaws, but at the same time, coming back to the Gold Rush Committee as well as to the council and getting everybody's agreement of what's being proposed, of how it's gonna be set up. I think one idea we kicked around in the previous meeting was that the board would probably be fewer members. But more volunteers on the committee too. Rather than having a board of 9 and maybe a board of 5 or 3 or something like that, some odd number, so. All the bylaw development of Mike's time, Sonny's time, going back to the taking the new bylaws, filing those with the Secretary of State, all of those expenses were paid by the city. So we appreciate them stepping forward and agreeing to that, so the Gold Rush will not have any financial commitments to coming up with a new organization or rule changes. But that's a very high level, but that's kind of the general direction that we're thinking about going and would be interested in. And we talked some of these issues of, or the one issue that we talked about the most in the past is, you know, using city employees to help us out, help us set up and identifying that's an expense that we have to incur. At the same time, we hope we can work with Sunny and make sure, and Kane as well, to identify using seasonal employees as much as possible, just to keep the cost down and the amount of time for use of the city equipment too. And that's probably fair. It's kind of, we've been, there's a lot of other events around this area that use city employees and there's a certain fee they pay the city. In some cases, a certain fee they pay the cities to help support that, but we'll try and just keep the time commitment to a minimum as much as we can.
And I'm totally open to like, you know, we want Kane or Corey or, you know, I mean, Corey knows a lot about Gold Rush. Kane's been doing it for a long time. We definitely can get together like volunteers too, where it's not like they're having to use their 8 to 5 daily time to do Gold Rush stuff. Or if they work 8 to 5, do they, you know, can we bring volunteers from like 2 to 5 one day? And they can tell them like, hey, go put these signs up or go move these barricades or like, can we use volunteers or are they gonna, is that not
We can, but we can't
safe?
allow them
or-
to use the equipment.
Right,
Guess what takes, move picnic tables to the
right, is all the
spots,
trucks and stuff to
Right.
move the things.
or remove those sandwich boards around.
So it's kind of unavoidable.
But that is the thing that, from my opinion, and just, I mean, I had to, for work, I had to buzz through Pine Island today and Public Works was busy doing stuff for Cheese Fest. And I don't know what they pay, but I would imagine that cities, and I think Sunny agreed with this, and I guess I haven't talked to Kane about it. We haven't specifically, but these are the things we're gonna have to work out. And I said, I am insistent on knowing a price before
That's where I'm
the
headed with that.
event.
Yes,
I do not wanna be slapped up side the face again.
here's your
With
39
a bill that we did
hours
not
for
budget for.
$4,000.
And so that is my biggest I think it's all of our concerns, right? But I think most likely we'll be able to work it out where I would assume the city would be able to donate some hours.
Well, they do a
to-
great job and they are super efficient at it. And they,
That's what I
you know what I
mean,
mean? Like,
yeah.
we want them to do it,
Yeah.
but not for $4,000.
Right.
I
So,
mean, I got her
Right.
to agree to half last time, otherwise it would have been $4,000.
yeah, so that's something I think we'll negotiate in this whole process and.
It'd be nice to sit down with Kane and just say, we just need to be smart about it.
Or can we work
The
out
pi-
some
the
kind of
picture
flat
boards.
fee, something that we know?
The picture boards that we put up by the post office, you know, the guy who spent a lot of time, like 3 or 4 hours, 3 of you guys doing it, so maybe we just do one picture board. instead of
Or
2,
none,
Or none.
those aren't necessary, I mean, to make the show possible,
Right,
that's not necessary,
Right.
you know.
So we just need to be smart about it, but and we can maybe sit down with Kane and, cause he did itemize his hours of moving picnic tables. You know, the sentence to serve, the supervisor now, if it's the same one that comes back, they know where the stakes go, the no parking stakes. They just
Mhm.
go, they know where to get the trash barrels. They have a map, they know where the trash barrels go. So we just need to be smart about how we use public works staff and their equipment, so. Maybe we can budget an item, maybe we can say $1,200 or $1,000 or something.
that's what I'm saying, if we know what a flat fee is, we can reserve that at the beginning of the year, and then it's a non-issue, it never really needs to be
Yeah,
talked about again.
That's part of, I think Dana's the big negotiable.
Awesome. My other couple of side notes that were also monetary, what are the other existing financial entanglements we have then? Like Wi-Fi for Joanne and like the room rental downstairs and like our meeting and stuff, room rental, like if we're not part of the city, then we're not, you know, I mean, are we gonna be charged for our meeting nights? What are our charges gonna be for the room downstairs?
We pay $100 now.
We're sharing Wi-Fi, like,
We're using city Wi-Fi now.
I know,
We don't,
that's what I'm saying, like, when we're not a part of the city now, are we gonna get a bill for Wi-Fi and a bill for the room and a bill on
wouldn't
meeting
need to
for
have
meeting
it,
nights
right?
using the meeting rooms?
I don't,
I don't,
a
like,
good
I'm just
question.
throwing it out there, like, what other entanglements go with being part of the city and not being part of the city that
Yeah.
could potentially be incurring costs for us later that we're not thinking about?
And on top of that, though, for Gold Rush, the food vendors have to pay $100 city food vendor fee. Which I collect and then turn it over to, last year it was Renee. So, I mean, are they gonna bill us for a service like that?
From my understanding, no. That would be, cause that is all processing, like that has to go through the city anyway,
Right.
so that,
pay for it.
that, from my understanding. That is just a regular that's a regular part of, you know, and yes, they are a little bit busier with that time of, year, but. They are the people that process all the permits, so that is what they will continue to do, no matter if it's for a festival or not. We can clarify that, though, that's a good.
And in my impression, from what I understand and what was presented, these types of questions would all be part of the details of those bylaws.
Yep,
So
that's fine,
all
I
good
just was
questions.
throwing down what
So
I
we'll
had
have
written
another
out.
chance to ask those questions.
And so like our goal then would be for this to get done, we love our free time after Gold Rush in September and October. It's kind of like a deep breath. But that's probably when we're gonna have to work really hard on getting these done and ready before 2024.
Yeah, and like December and January are so quiet, like one or both of those months, we didn't even have a meeting, so.
Yeah, I'd say sometime between September and November, or when we send the donations out. Like, start January off, possibly with the new arrangement. So what's everybody's feeling from the resident standpoint? Is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, my only concern is just monetarily, how does that affect Gold Rush, just because profits have been low. You know, and things that, monies that we used to religiously be able to give back to the city. Like fireworks and National Night Out and stuff have become less and or some none. I'd love to get back to the point where we're back to giving more. I just hope that doesn't yeah, I just hope that doesn't interfere with.
So then another question is, during Gold Rush, will we be able to still use the community center, like the bathrooms?
I would hope so, but it needs to be identified now as a base.
Yeah, so I think too, just, these are all really good questions, and so just, we need to bring these to that meeting. I mean, we need to maybe, just,
Revisit this conversation then.
yeah, and keep all this, and then so like the two committee members then can go to Sunny and Mike and be like, these are the things that our
Need to be
members are
specified.
concerned about and need to be in the bylaws and need to be spelled out for us.
So I guess I'm just curious, because I don't know the rules for this, and there's some comfort in me as a resident knowing that the city council is part of this for accountability, for one. For myself, I'm just like concerned that, like, I know how overwhelmed I am, and like sometimes how overwhelmed you guys are, and you serve on multiple different areas. And like, we've been doing it this way for such a long time, so I hate saying like, we've been doing this for so long, like, let's keep on doing it. I know that there needs to be change, and I'm not opposed to us splitting it. I think my concern is where's the accountability, and like, if we only have 2 members, and then we only really are truly having like 3 to 5 people, 2 of those are from the city council. How do we choose who's gonna be part of that? And like, is Joanne part of that committee, or does she exist outside of that? So I think for me, just as like a resident thinking how quickly this could dissipate is kind of where my head is at. If, like, you're really passionate about it and you are sitting on city council, but then your term is up and you don't serve again, like, then what happens? So that's kind of where I'm coming from, is without having.
We lose a leader and
We-
representation at
Right,
the
we
same time.
lose a bunch of stuff, and, I don't see this as this is like our city, these are like our city days in a way. Although they're not too, like, we've added more things in there that make it more feel like family and community days, which I know that that's not what it existed as, but. So there's a little bit, just as a resident, like, how long is this gonna go on before it's just not going on anymore?
That's a good point, and I think I need to go back and need clarification, this ad hoc committee of 2 council members, that's only for developing the bylaws. Okay, there was a statement, and Jim and Dana can confirm this, there was a statement in the letter saying that a proposal might be to have 2 non-voting liaison people from the council come to the meeting too.
But not have it be a requirement that they're on the committee.
Right. Something.
I think that this
It's
is
like
a,
non-voting, but it's part of that carryover from the council. It's just
Well, I
feel
think
that-
it was
go ahead, Dana.
it was the requirement that people were upset with. The
Yeah,
requirement of having,
yeah, I think that this is again, a major thing that there is for the city. I mean, this is it. This is our annual, whatever it is, okay, that we're on the map because of this. And I don't see the council by any means dropping the importance of what there is for Gold Rush. And the support that there is behind it. The only thing we were really looking at, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryland, was just basically we had to do the split as a nonprofit. Not that there isn't that same participation of what there is or interest within the city. I mean, that's what I get from it. that-
But we were grandfathered in to have the city council as part of the board members because it evolved, it started that way. And so, yeah, that's why it's still this way, is because even though it changed up at state level with a nonprofit, whatever group, we were grandfathered in. Yep.
But I see this as being that important within the city that you're not gonna lose this. I don't see that dissipating at all within the city.
it is tenuous though. I get what Kristen's saying, because it really does depend on the elected officials. And
And their interest.
and their interest.
I mean, if it's not a requirement, I wouldn't come if it wasn't like a requirement, like if I joined the council in this way, like I could choose to go to something that was, you know. I was passionate about, but I mean, I don't know, I'm just thinking,
At the same time, I do think it's nice, you know, I think there are members, council members that might not have any interest.
right,
And then it's like, well, do we really want people who don't
exactly.
care?
Right,
Exactly.
Or
To be
who aren't
part of
interested,
it.
that's not helpful,
Exactly.
right?
That-
That's not
yeah.
helpful.
And so you do want the people who really want to be there to be there.
Yeah, that's a good
Um,
point.
And so, I don't know, I get it though, it is nerve wracking, I think a big change like this is always scary. I think it's also a good opportunity to bring more volunteer, you know, more people and be like, this is our thing, we need to, you know,
Mhm.
and maybe it's an opportunity to invite more people to the table, maybe people love that city's out of it, maybe, you know, cause I know that not every citizen thinks the city does a good job, so maybe they'll be like, finally, we can tear it away from the city and do something great with it, I don't know.
So on that note, though, something in my brain just clicked too, is if we don't have report, right now we have what, 2 or 3 required council members on this committee? 2 or 3?
All of us,
All of them.
all of us are technically required.
Okay, so if it was not a requirement and the interest wasn't there, and then the bylaws, we go to 5, that is not a sufficient amount of people to run Gold Rush. So if they
Five
came as a
people too.
liaison, right, they're not gonna get assigned tasks and they're not gonna be in charge of Facebook and things, you know what I'm saying? So, and then we go down to 5 and then, you know, council will say, this is important, we'd like for a couple people to represent council and like go to a couple meetings so we know what's going on or whatever, but they're not necessarily gonna be,
Yeah.
right, hands in the pot doing tasks and like being responsible for
Mhm.
parts of Gold Rush.
Mhm.
Yeah, I personally challenge that.
Then we
wire.
gotta like probably up the number of our committee and
So
not
the-
take it down.
The reason that we need to decrease is because of the multiple times we've had
No shows.
no quorum. That has never happened since I joined in 2018. This is the first year.
3 so far.
Can
And
you
that's-
have,
That's just,
so in the bylaw, can you have 5, right? That would make okay, so can we go, if we went to 5 that were on voting, that had voting,
so then we would only need 3 people
right?
to hold a meeting and make decisions.
But then how can we, can we solicit 4 or 5 other residents to be non-voting
Yes.
committee members?
Yes.
Like they can,
Subcommittees.
yes, they can do tasks like take some of the advertising or somebody can do but they're not, they just don't have to be in voting
And that,
capacity.
yeah, they're not the
Okay.
decision makers. but
Okay.
They absolutely can have a hand in it, and
Okay.
I just see that as being the best, like, I don't feel like our numbers need to change at all, it's just those voting numbers so that we can ensure that
I
we can
understand.
make decisions at these important meetings.
As long as we can have as many people as we want
Yeah.
on the committee, but they just don't have voting rights,
Yeah.
like, then that's fine, cause
Yeah.
I feel like we're all, like, everybody kind of has more than enough on their plate right now.
Right.
So to take the number of people down is sketchy to me.
Mhm.
Okay,
But it's
Could I
not a-
make a
yeah.
comment about what Joanne said?
Sure.
About grandfathered in? Is that, if we agree to bow out of the grandfather, or are we automatically not allowed to continue as a grandfathered law?
Mhm.
Because once we step out, we can never step back into it.
Right.
I mean, I don't know the particulars, but I know grandfather law means, I think if it's
Yeah.
continued, it's always,
And back in, I think it's 1997, there was some corporate changes regarding nonprofit and city and corporations like us that have been changed. So it technically we're somewhat operating illegally right now.
No,
No, it's
it's
gotta go.
not that we're illegal because of the grandfathered in clause,
thank you.
But it's illegal for the
But-
current.
but it doesn't matter because it doesn't, but it wouldn't maybe necessarily hold up in court real well. Do you know what I mean? So if like if somebody were to say something that this is up, that's where everything gets wishy-washy. And so like for best practice and for just moving forward for protection and that's where,
That makes sense. My only hang up with it is, once you step out of
Yeah.
that clause, you can never go back,
Right,
right?
that's a
Because
good.
now you're not grandfathered,
Right.
whether it's right or wrong. And I think, you know, it's all for the betterment of the city. It's all nonprofit. And Gold Rush gives back to the city, back to the fire department.
No, we don't give back, only thing we give back to is the National Night Out. for Fireworks.
Nothing
We don't
else.
give back to the
Well,
city. We-
Not directly, okay, sorry. But the city, the community benefits by all the proceeds and profits that the fire hall collects because of Gold Rush.
Mhm.
You follow my thought process here?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be
There's a lot of
argumentative.
businesses that really make money off of the event that keep it.
Thank you. And, that's my only comment,
Yeah,
concern.
that's-
So to that point then, what are the cons to Gold Rush Committee
you. That was
about,
my next
what
question.
are our cons? How would it negatively affect our Gold Rush Committee? What are the cons of doing this?
Of continuing or of
Yes.
changing?
What,
I think it's more work for I mean, like what I'm seeing is like, we need to have a really strong team, like of really committed, really passionate, like people like. And we need to add more of those people and to almost like run. You know, cause right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 council members.
Yeah,
Here.
yeah, right.
So, you know, like we would just have to really make sure that we were all.
Well,
gung ho.
and I think that, I mean, I wouldn't be going anywhere. I would still be active. I'm not gonna, I mean, I'm assuming you would. Jim,
And
you're,
I wanna be part
yeah,
of the
you're real
activity.
active in the car shows, you know, so I think,
My thought, go ahead.
no, I think the current council, you've got 3 that are pretty dedicated, I think, you know, and I don't think that would change.
The other thing I was gonna say that this might open a door to look at the township becoming maybe a little bit more involved with it too, because it is a part of everything that goes along. That might open up another avenue and be able to combine the city and the township to work together as something that might be the first committee as a thought, you know, so.
well, and you did have that,
Our bylaws say that now.
Yeah.
We changed.
they
that,
changed
yeah.
the bylaw for me, and then we got Corey, because Corey and I are both township.
Yeah,
Like, and then before it said city.
Yeah.
You had to be a city resident, and
yeah.
I was like, I wanna be on Gold Rush, but I'm like banned, like, how can I get on Gold Rush? That's how bad I wanted to do it.
Right.
So, yes, it exists, and I do feel like we probably know other people that would get involved and give time. And I also feel like the more people you get, the less work it is per individual, because you can
Yeah.
spread it out farther.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, you have this little task and you have this little task, and then it's not like, ooh, I have 17 little tasks, like now I have 7.
I love the idea of like the miniature, like the subcommittee,
Right.
which we've already kind of done, right? Like
Yeah.
you guys, the volunteers.
Well,
you
and
guys at the
now that
rate or
Ryland's
the-
been putting all of
car
the
show.
actual tasks in this thing, this is so much
Very
easier
helpful.
for new people.
Yeah.
Or transition time and whatever, but. Yeah, I don't know, I'm just trying to think like, what are the, I mean. I understand the legality thing or whatever, I'm just scared, like, is there something that we're missing? That.
Right.
That the city really wants to do this, why, like, and what are we missing here?
Well,
Is it
that's-
some big thing that we're just not getting, that we're gonna get
Do
screwed
you,
over?
would it be possible for Mike to share that information with the Gold Rush Committee members? I know it's like a attorney-client privilege and you guys aren't technically his client.
It's not a public document.
But like, is there parts of it that he'd be willing to share because it's easier for,
Let me put it this way, if we were to stay like this, we'd have a lot more stipulations put on us, I think, of operating in the new. If we were to stay together, if we were to continue like this, there would be changes to how we're doing things. That was called out in the letter too.
You get in the legal part of it, but I mean, this is.
I don't think we want them.
So I think we really don't really have a choice in it. I think it's gonna happen regardless of what we really think, so, right? I mean, and it's not a
Yeah, I think
bad
it's-
thing that it's just a new thing.
In my mind, it's more positive and we get away from the stigma of, well, it's always run by the council.
That's
Yeah.
true. That is,
And
that's
say,
very
no, you
true.
are involved. If you wanna come in, we need to open it up.
I
make
think
sure
that has deterred people in the past.
I think too, that the people that are here, and looking at council, the ones that are here and participating in it are the ones that are really active and want to be a part of it.
Sure.
Okay, where sometimes if other people feel they have to be there, they're not really putting in the effort and the time and the desire that you have. It's more of a requirement than
And then
a
it's not
want
helpful, then why
to.
are you even here?
You know what I'm saying?
It's
So,
fine.
so that way you end up, I think, with the right people that are gonna put in the extra effort.
I just wanna make sure there's not something we're missing, and I get you guys are privy to some information that there's the little people here don't have, but as long as you guys have the understanding that Gold Rush is not getting screwed over by this
Oh, no.
happening, then I'm comfortable with what you're saying. You're saying that's
I do
legit.
think we're gonna, well, and for sure I am, because this is kind of what I do, but I'm gonna ask the really difficult questions and dig into this.
Okay.
Thank
And
you.
I'm not gonna be a,
Because they have to be, and I'll just give you one example. City administration decided that we were gonna charge a flat fee for the seasonal help last year combined with the full-time help. And that fee was somewhat inflated. It didn't reflect our wages. It was a flat, we're gonna charge you $50 an hour for X amount of people. And I question that to this day. Where did that number come from? And why is it inflated like that?
that's a great point, and that's exactly
And I think you touched on it earlier. We want to know exact
100%, and I'm,
numbers.
yes, that is a big,
And we're not trying, I don't think the city's trying to make any money off of what's going on that way with Gold Rush. I don't, and I think that there's numbers could be available with Sunny. You might have those.
I think, yeah,
But I mean, don't you think a city employee would know how much they make an hour versus what she tried to charge per hour?
But there's also certain costs on top of it with insurance and everything else. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to use the seasonal because it's a less hourly total wage compared to what there is with regular
No
employees.
benefits either.
Huh?
There's no benefits either.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that the total part of it. So
but if we're paying a wage, it should be their hourly wage, not the
So
insurance.
you-
and work
you-
comp
you've
and all
got it.
that. When we're paying the deputies, we're paying them their hourly wage. We're not including their charge to us is not including the work comp, the insurance, the benefits, any of that. It's just their hourly rate.
well, I think that they've got that all figured out too. I could be wrong. Yeah, and I'm not in the.
Well,
middle
that's a
of the
valid
numbers.
point though.
So I'm not gonna do. I've gotta leave, okay? I don't mean to interrupt with what's going on. I just want to cover my part here.
Okay.
Okay, to make sure we've got that done
So
before I
do
take
we have
off.
a consensus, I guess, for the residents of moving forward?
I think it's,
We just keep asking questions. I mean, we have till the end of this
We'll
year.
have time to, the general emphasis is that there will be a lot of time spent making the bylaws.
Yeah.
And that's when the questions.
and your input in all of these questions, we should maybe even have like a running document almost like to bring. Cause I think it's all valid, and I want that, we have newer city staff that isn't familiar, this is just.
Right.
And I agree with you, I really dislike, this is how it's always been, that is not something I like, but I do think that history is important. And, I think the questions are really good ones.
Well, and just because we're going to separate legally from the city, doesn't not mean that we don't need and rely upon the
Right.
support of the city. We still need to have a really good relationship with
That's
them
right,
and work together and like hopefully have access to public works and the buildings and the things that we
Well,
need for
and-
Gold Rush and have that not be a non-issue. I don't want to be tit for tatting over 10
No.
cents or $2,000. Like,
Right.
everybody needs to be on the same page and not,
I do think though too.
this is how we're gonna do it now, surprise,
There-
like, no.
There are certain things that we have to negotiate with, right? Like our logo is ours, yet it's used on a lot of city documents on the, our, you know, Coleman Gold Rush is on the city signage. So
Right.
we do have to work together and there is some, so I think that's almost like a negotiating point personally.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
you can keep using our signage if you let us use this amount or for the employees, you know, I don't know.
Well, even the wording, you know, downtown, it doesn't say city of Orinoco, but downtown Orinoco. There's a separation now, is what you're telling me. And that makes me uncomfortable of how many situations could come up, you know, like she said, the logo, even the name of Gold Rush, is it gonna be just,
No, that won't, it's not changing our incorporation. No, I don't see us changing our name.
Hmm.
But I think that going forward, we'll be able to, I'm hoping that like Dana said, we can be more
But truly,
clear in how we go about
yeah,
operating, so.
but truly, like Corey's saying is, it's downtown Orinoco Gold Rush Days that has nothing to do with the city of Orinoco now.
No,
So.
thank you, you made the point.
You know, that, like, and we should never change the name, because it is what it is. I'm not saying that we change the name, but I do feel that, yeah, when they're like, well, let's separate and, oh, legal, yeah, but, and we're, it's,
it's
Yeah.
never had city in it other than.
That is though, like Pine Island Cheese, but they are not, they are two different entities.
Yeah.
You know, they're, usually this is the case. It's just like we happen to be so old, that we're an old organization, which is exciting. But usually this is the case most of the time. And
But can I add one more comment before we move on? Okay, I have a relative that lives in Plainview and works for the city of Plainview Public Works. And I asked him, how does Corn on the Cob Days? Well, they kind of get around some certain bylaws by saying it's put on by the Lions Club of Plainview. Why couldn't we emulate something like that? We have a Lions Club in Orinoco. Would that be advantageous to us or not? You see, I don't understand.
so that's an interesting point. Do you know that we're so different, right? Because we're a flea market and we're not a,
festival.
Yeah.
Festival days, yeah.
but Walnut, Iowa, we're similar, right? We're I think we're one of the only ones like this, where we close down our city streets and then proceeds go back to the community. Walnut, Iowa, they just changed it. One gentleman used to run it. And he changed it, so now their historical society runs it.
Oh.
It's interesting. So, I mean, yes. I mean, short answer, yeah, that's an option eventually. You know, if somebody would like to take us on under their umbrella.
Right,
Yeah.
because they got skin in the game also.
But I think that with this new arrangement, we could approach the Lions clubs
Yeah. I
for
mean,
volunteers, you know?
Right.
And promote, I think we could promote the Lions.
yeah, I think there's really, yeah, when you look at it that way, there are a lot of,
Those are open doors, or
Yeah.
potentially open doors then.
Right, if it
Yeah.
gets us around some bylaw or without paying more money to
Right.
incorporate a new entity, why not merge with Lions Club and call it?
the nice thing is it's not gonna, we don't have to be a new incorporation. We're just, right? Or we do, but the city's gonna pay. The city's going to pay for all of these expenses that incurred during this, correct?
For the bylaws and stuff, yes,
Do we have any idea what figure that is?
I really don't know. Don't need to know, because the
Right.
city's gonna pay for it.
Well, maybe a resident wants to know, what's this costing us?
Yeah.
Well, we'll find out. You can put a
We'll
number
find
to
out
it.
when the bill comes in from the attorney, so.
Okay.
Why don't you just send me your comments,
Yeah, I think I've got it all covered on everything else that's
so I
going
can
on. So,
update the spreadsheet.
yeah, I've got, like I said, I've taken care of it. You and I have talked on that, so you know where I'm at. So.
Okay, call me
Thanks.
sometime. Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Good, Joe.
All right,
You're done?
Yep, thank you.
So,
great comment.
Corey's agreement with it, so anybody else on?
Yes.
Here's the division right
The
here.
final holdout, so,
No, I have more
no,
questions.
you're right, I talked to the public works guy in Plainview too, director, and I talked to him, and says he was all under the Lions Club, and that's how they.
Yeah.
so.
But I know their city employees are somewhat obviously involved too. I don't know how they break
I
down.
mean, they could,
you know, all the particulars.
It's good, and that
That's a great
actually,
point though, yeah.
that's actually something we should do is.
Partner with-
We
we
did
could
do this,
partner.
didn't we? Didn't somebody go and ask different communities?
You talked to a few.
I talked to
Yeah.
lady, I talked to the chairman of the Cheese Committee,
Yeah,
Carrie Lynn.
Carrie Lynn model, yeah.
Um,
So I mean, there, we have
Sabrina.
stuff to go by, so I think we won't be like recreating the wheel or anything like that.
You know, like, what'd you say, Plainview and Pine Island, don't their festivities happen just on the weekend?
It's a 3-day weekend,
3 days,
so it'll be
Friday, Saturday,
tomorrow,
Sunday.
yeah, it'll be the same, it's the same as ours, yeah.
Cheese, 3 days.
So then if they do have their public works helping Thursday with setup, there would same expenses then.
Oh, it's,
Thursday,
that equipment, I've been going back and forth from work,
So, yeah.
it's been there. Kind of like us, where
So
people
public
will
works-
park their trailers,
Yeah.
you know, it's the same thing, like there's a zipper machine in on there on Tuesday and. They're doing stuff all week long blocking, yeah, so.
These cities are bigger than ours, so they have those such signs and everything, so
That's
whereas we have to rent the signs.
Well,
So
and
whereas
and
the
not
cities-
only that, they have the business community where they all can contribute to their parade. Okay, we got the Land O'Lakes, we got Lakeside, we got
We had a lot of
the
sponsors.
Tractor Supply, the Toro dealer, you know, they got lots of people that,
Yeah,
businesses that contribute to the cost.
right.
Someday I think we'll be in that position too, so.
Not in my lifetime. Probably not
You're
yours.
gonna be 120 anyway, so.
You're immortal, Corey.
But you gotta stop drinking beer, that's only.
But it's
Don't
not worth
stop,
it.
right?
Feels off. No, I
No.
know. I'm
Not
out.
worth it.
Keep her moving. You don't wanna hijack the system. Keep her moving.
All right, great, I think I have a consensus.
I think we have
We
a
have a
consensus to keep discussing. Keep asking the tough questions, guys.
I really don't think the Gold Rush event coordinator would be any discussion, any part, other than being mentioned in the bylaws, it's a paid position. I think that'll stay. Let's jump down to the spreadsheet. And I think that'll take care of all of our questions too. I can put this up on the board if you want to.
We're good.
We can take a second, bring it up, and we'll just kind of go through it. I did give you an updated copy as of today. In your packet, and that was due to the ongoing conversations that I've had. Ever been to the new Joe's Coffee?
Lori,
Yep,
Lori.
Mel,
Me,
yep, Mel.
and Ryland came.
Oh, you
What
did?
is it?
That
So
made some points.
over at the auction house there, we have a gal from Mazeppa who just opened a coffee, tea, cocoa, smoothies. And cold refreshers and seltzers food truck. And she's parked over at the auction house for the rest of the summer. 8 to, what did I say? 8 to 3?
3.
And yeah, 8 to 3, Monday through Friday, for the rest of the summer. I had a wild berry hibiscus frozen refresher thing that was killer. I also had a frozen hot chocolate that was delicious. A Couple of the other employees had the frozen pineapple smoothies, also very good. Chris had the chai latte.
Last year, didn't you have like a barbecue truck or something?
Yeah,
once in a
so,
while there?
yep, True Smoke came out like twice a month. That was usually on a Tuesday or Wednesday on our pickup days, cause we have a lot of traffic.
So are
Over
you
there on
gonna,
those days.
Put that on the Facebook page or something?
I did on Wednesday. I did throw it out there on
Yeah,
Wednesday.
Whatever day is yesterday.
Yeah.
It's been, I think, the most commented on post all year long.
People are like,
So excited.
Tammy,
I was like,
I posted it and
End of
Tammy
year.
within 2 minutes was like, shut up. She was up there in like 12 minutes with a bunch of our neighbors that she
Yeah.
like grabbed from their houses and drove up there. She's
Yeah.
like, we're going to have coffee.
Yeah.
They all work from home. And
Yeah.
she's like, we don't ever get to go for coffee or meet for lunch or anything
An ice cream truck for
for
an adult.
adults. I know.
They
And-
should just go around playing music.
I know how
Like,
many
just
women
different, like,
said that, like, this is the
so-
ice cream truck
Do they have,
for.
like margaritas or what?
That's
I wish.
coming, I wish.
She does have non-alcoholic seltzers,
No way.
which I'm
Well,
telling you, the wild berry hibiscus, I will be taking home to go so I can mix it after work because it's delicious. But yeah, anyways, it's very good. It's all organic. It's all locally sourced beans, syrups, honeys. Yeah, she's really cool.
How do I make that clearer?
I don't know.
Let's make sure she can get at Gold Rush. We needed coffee at Gold Rush. Bad. Last year, we didn't have any coffee.
We had Hayward.
Did we? Where?
No, my little nephew Hayward.
Oh, well,
that
yeah,
sells
yeah,
it.
yeah,
I
yeah,
must have
yeah,
asked that to her, but someone else, 2 people in the last month have stopped in
But
and said,
two
who do I
times.
contact? One of them had popcorn and candy corn. And I gave them your info, and the other one I think was a coffee truck. Coffee and cocoa.
We do
I gave
popcorn
both of
again.
them your number.
The Carol's Corn, not,
No, they, last year they just said.
well,
They
last year
just
was
said
too, they
they-
couldn't do it last year in such a short notice, so I'll
Well,
bug him.
do they have to have a vendor permit?
What's that?
Yeah,
Nothing,
she has one and
They
Joe
do.
has one.
but it's on private property, but it doesn't matter, right?
Right, well, she has her license through the county and then she also did go through Renee, and so she is licensed to be here in
Okay.
Oroco too. So she's all good to go. She would just have to sign up and pay the.
I
Gold
asked her
Rush
to,
fee.
we talked about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, she was excited. One of the reasons she ended up in Orinoco is because she's a friend of Chris's and her licensing fell through in Wabasha. She had somewhere in Wabasha County to be where she was gonna be able to park. Something got screwed up and I don't know. And she went to Olmsted. They got her approved in like 3 days. So I don't know what the holdup was, but she lost her spot in Wabasha, so.
Is this okay to keep,
Yeah.
work off this?
Go.
So I just wanna make sure we kind of use, we'll come back to H. if we have time. Social media. Handprint,
Hard print.
so we got 1,000 cards
More cards.
and those have been sent out to vendors.
I have the boxes in the office.
I was gonna say.
I haven't got them yet. Yeah, I brought them in earlier this week and
Okay, they're in the
I
office.
figured
now?
we'd see each other. Yeah, I have my keys. So we can go in.
Close that one out.
I did not make posters this year. What do we want to do about that? Do we want posters for vendors? Do we not? Or the postcards enough? What do we think?
What was on the poster that was not on the postcard?
Nothing. It's just it's just a
Yeah, by
paper size. So it's just,
And you were giving them to vendors when?
I
Or
took
where were you
4
putting
or
them?
5 around.
remember you brought them all over in Stillwater when you went up that one
Oh,
year?
those were with the postcards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. What are our thoughts?
I think postcards are
I
good.
think they're-
Personally, I think postcards are great. They're like nicer, they're easier to, I mean, you can.
Stick them in your
those-
purse.
I
You can
was
still put
hoping
them
you'd
up,
say
too.
that.
And a lot of people, like, I have a couple stacks up at the auction house and a lot of people, they just take a picture of it with their phone. They don't even take the card.
Yep.
And then they leave. I'm like, oh, take one or take a picture. They're like, that's a great idea. And they just take a picture.
Right. It was more for like people who have stores or shops and then they can hang it. But they can hang the postcard or they have the postcards there.
Can you take that postcard image, expand it to put on 8.5 by 11? Make a poster from that?
Yeah,
Well, sure.
I mean, that's kind of what we did.
Mhm.
I think that's kind of what I did. But then do we really want to go around distributing that is my question.
Oh, I took around about a dozen of them,
Okay,
the Pine Island, Quick Trips.
sure.
But I think the locals already know about it, and if it doesn't
The
go
grocery stores.
out of state, it's. What's the
But there
benefit?
again, the grocery, whatever, I mean, it's just as easy to pin tack a postcard up on that wall as it is a
Mhm.
poster. Other than its size, if you're concerned
And the
about the
problem
size,
is
but.
like the details are on the back.
Right.
So then you have to give
Oh, okay.
two of them.
Right.
I can mock one up and we can print, I mean, it's not expensive to print some off.
Well, and like if it sounds like we only need 25 of them, just so we can
That's
put
what
them
I
in
said,
brick and
20.
mortar buildings.
I mean, we can just print them, have them print them and pay for those copies instead of
Yeah.
Vistaprint or
Yeah.
something, you know?
Might be worth it just for like
Okay.
brick and mortar buildings, but probably not thousands of them for passing out.
No, right.
Okay.
Well, you have something about how best to deliver postcards to antique stores in the area. I mean, should we each just take some? And I don't know, what have we done in the past? I'm not gonna lie. In the past. I always have the best intentions to go out and hit all the stores and visit and shop, and then I don't, because life happens. So what are the chances that we all are able to get to those?
The ones that I took and used, I was the year that we were soliciting sponsorships for the 5K. So I used the poster along with the solicitation letter. When I went to like Tilly's and Northland Buildings and Thompson's Garage, and so they were good for that.
Mhm.
Could we pull a mailing list for like local, like within a certain, 5-state area or whatever? I mean, it was like $1.10 or whatever how much was it for us to send it out? I'm just wondering if we wanted to pull a mailing list to the antique shops and mail them rather than us spending time and money and gas on driving around
And getting
to them.
them.
If we just sent, even if it was a list of 25, or I don't know how many antique places there are
That you worked with in Cresco, didn't she give you a list of those?
of
places?
publications. Not
Publications,
of
oh.
like antique
Dealers.
shops, like,
Oh.
yeah, not that. I don't even have any idea how many we would be running into. But even if they got like, hey, we would love for you to share this, or.
That's not a bad idea.
Some type of a fun contest for people to share it on their own page, like if you tag us in it and you get put into a drawing for
This
whatever.
is the stuff that this is why we need to eventually get a promotional packet
Yeah,
that we can send electronically. That's what we really need to do eventually. I know every year, I feel like we've said this now like for 2 or 3 years, but we should probably try to prioritize that before 2024 as well.
But to be combined with the contracts, is what you're saying, or separate?
A promotional. a
Oh, for
digi- a
advertising, digital promotional packet. I
packet.
see what you're saying.
So under I. I realized I didn't go back and change the numbers, the letters, social media, so if you print 20 to 25, and some of us will take it around to places. Postcards to antique stores, that's what's the question right now, I guess.
Mhm.
Did you, Joanne or Carol, we had a listing of antique stores?
we have a list of all of the advertisers that we're working with, but I haven't seen that.
Stores, though.
No, but maybe inside some of those publications. 'Cause they
Yeah,
list.
That's true.
Like Clark's Flea Market, I mean, it's a huge listing of, it's just dependent on how many we want to send out and.
Right.
Ones we know.
I do wonder too. Those places, if they have social media, we should try to, it'd be fun to be able to pull something together so they could share it on their sites.
Right, I mean, like share it with
Mhm.
you, tag us in it. I mean, that's pretty easy to kind of keep track of if they've. Tagged us in their post.
Does
Which would
anybody
lead
have those
people, right?
publications physically in hand we can look at?
They're downstairs on the ones that we've advertised in, that I've gone through and looked through, where they list all the,
Other stores,
so, yeah. They're downstairs in the office.
so we can go through and put a list of 20
Yeah.
places together and put a list together.
I like your idea of just like a fun little like drawing, win a t-shirt or,
A bag, a can, we have a million of them. Get a tote,
yeah, win a tote.
if there's 20 people that share it and their reach is I mean, that's where everyone's at right now.
Exactly.
I'm feeling like, yes, we are gonna be in the shoppers and stuff like that, but when they're
The
asking
tagging is huge though.
$200 for a, quarter page ad in 1 week in a shopper, I mean, what are the chances that's gonna hit, you know?
Could you get us in the Rochester? Center
Yeah.
activity thing? That's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
So
They made this a new
does
ad.
somebody wanna do that, take these antique magazines and put together a list of stores and put together a mailing list?
I can do that since I have some of them at home and just kind of look through that and then with a deadline of like 1 week. Right. I mean, like, I need a deadline, otherwise I'll just wait until.
Yeah,
August
I do
1st.
too, so I'll make,
Honest though.
I'll just be having my.
Tell me I have 7 days or it's gonna take me 85.
Painting my picture, doing something I.
yeah, avoiding the little tasks.
Really good at the
Like
thing I posted
avoiding the
today.
3-minute task.
Really good
forever.
at doing the unimportant things. I'm
So
doing it straight.
if you do that in 1 week, that means I have to make the poster and that's perfect. Because
Yeah.
then I have a deadline as well.
Yes,
Okay.
sign myself up for
Decide your
more
date
work.
then.
Well, where are we?
Today, I can give you
Today.
the magazines or whatever that are downstairs in the office. And you can take them and take a look.
Okay. I don't know anything about these places, but I could.
Hello?
Hey, Sunny.
Hello. Island skipped right by without grabbing my note to him.
Oh, I saw that, but I did not know what that was either.
So you ignored me as well.
Basically, I guess.
You probably already covered this.
Yeah, we're waiting.
Well, we talked about it already, but, oh, so you asked about the 2 council members, that was just for the ad hoc committee?
Right.
I thought those were council members to make up that ad hoc. I thought that was in Mike's letter. I may have read his letter wrong.
It could be anybody, basically.
Well, my question to Ryland is if we're looking to separate, why not have the corporation be party to drafting those if they have questions? As opposed to council, because you're wanting to, it's almost like you would then be dictating what. the
Okay, well, then I read
corporation
his
should
letter
do.
wrong. I thought in that same sentence that council members make up the 2-member ad hoc committee.
Oh, if you wanted to stay on as members of the committee and the corporation wanted you to do that, they could
Oh, okay.
build that into
Okay.
the bylaws.
So it could be anybody, basically.
And we had a consensus here from the residents and from the council too, is that there was supportive of the separation.
Support to keep asking questions and talking about it until after,
Oh,
until we get,
continue to move
what I
To move
said,
forward, yes.
move forward, but what I would like them to be, I think it would be helpful for them to be privy to some of the information that Mike gave us. So I know some of it's confidential, but I think some of it could probably be explained better, like people have questions regarding the legality and all that stuff, and I think it would be really helpful.
Like a debriefing or something,
Yeah.
a little bit. I mean,
You know.
what can be shared.
Right. So if we could, I think that would be helpful. I wouldn't like to be part of a committee and not know the full.
well, and I think, do you want me to speak to this?
Oh, yeah, please go
Or
ahead.
just kind of, I think, the biggest part that you would, as this group would want to know is, can it be done? Is there a cost to it? What happens? Right? Basically,
And
Um,
why?
And
why?
Yeah,
Why?
Why?
Why is it being pushed?
Well, because in my experience, and this, and Mike did cite this too, he can find no other city that does it this way.
Right?
Um. And in my experience, I've never known.
Right?
I was a surprise. So that's the biggest thing. And I think, you know, from my viewpoint, it's kind of like if your bylaws require that all 5 council members have to be on the board
Mhm.
and you have you have what, 7, 9
Nine.
members on your board?
Right.
Okay, so theoretically, someone of the remaining 4 could say, well, council has to be there anyway. I don't need to show up. So I would and Dana and I have had these conversations where we really want to encourage more community participation. And by assigning, you know, 5 out of the 9 seats to council members, one, I need that council to be council people and focused on policy for the entire city. I think that there are a lot of talented people in town. I think if we can bring them on board to share the joy and the pleasure and the pain, if you will, I think ultimately your community will be the best served doing that. So that's kind of my rationale. 1, it didn't make sense to me. 2, I really think that we're perhaps not giving people an opportunity to step forward. As the survey showed that you have, what's your average age? 35?
36.
36. So we need to continue to, and we know that growth is coming. We need to like, you need to find your own replacement, right? If you ever want to give this job up, Joanne, you're gonna have to train somebody and the same for the rest of you, because from what I understand is many of you have come into this and it's kind of like you've had to really build up the list, the checklist, and I've seen Ryland's checklist and it's very, I'm gonna say military from what I've seen, which is a good thing. That's not a bad thing.
Organized, yeah.
Yes.
Necessary.
And I know that the mapping that I saw last year that Christina did, it's fabulous. I mean, and using those technology and certainly Dana's creativity, and I know you bring volunteers and talents as well as, you know, everybody has something to contribute, and I think the more people that we can offer that to.
I will make a comment that I don't see people busting in the door to join our committee.
Well, but here's the question. Do they feel like they need to? I mean, like, have you actively asked for people to sit on the committee?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I guess from what this is the where it gets squishy, and I know that everybody keeps saying there's a Ryland, I think you like to be a peacemaker, and I'm like the person that pushes back, everybody knows that. I'm hearing that this isn't necessarily a legal issue like maybe I thought, it's more of a what you and Mike want. Because it's what you're used to.
More of what Sunny has
And
experienced.
yeah, and that's kind of the place where I do push back just a titch, and I have been, and you know that, you and I have had these conversations, and and that's why I hesitate to say that there's a consensus, because I don't think there is.
Well, and I guess my only comment on that too is that I know you said you want the council people to be council people and be focused on what you want them to do and be focused on the city, but I'll tell you right now that even once we separate, Ryland's not gonna leave this committee and Dana's not gonna leave this committee and Jim wants to be part of it too, so the time they're already putting in, they're probably gonna continue to put in until they burn out. So I mean, I don't know if I don't know if you're gonna recover the kind, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's at least 3 council members that are currently on the board that have already said it's very likely they're going to stay anyway.
One thing I am super supportive of is not making it a requirement.
Yes, I agree with that. I think we all agree with that. part
I've
of it.
said from the start. I think that that's really huge, but the rest of it, that's where I'm still a little bit confused of the necessity of all of it. It
Well,
just seems
I'll
to be
second that.
making our lives
Yeah.
a lot harder.
Cause if we go belly up this year. Bad terminology, but if we don't make any money, if we actually go in the hole. As a new entity, how are we gonna recover from that with a new,
The new entity won't be effective until next year,
okay, well, let's say next year.
but that's where,
No, okay,
that's why we need to decide what we're gonna do by the
okay.
end of this year, so.
Well, okay, and just to clarify, yes, you're already an entity of your own. You are your own corporation. It just has a board that's comprised by virtue of your bylaws mandating that all council members are on there.
So that's the only change.
Well, and here's the thing, I mean, as Dana pointed out, I mean, you could, and I'm sorry, Melissa,
Yeah.
no, okay. It could very well be that even with the separation, Citizen Dana may still want to be not only involved, may want to sit on the board. And how you comprise that board is up to you. So that's the biggest thing. The other thing is, from a financial standpoint, this separation is not going to cost you anything. But what it's going to do is preserve the existing tax ID that you have. You know, so really nothing is gonna change other than basically the mandate and separation that you get to manage your own funds, which is not what your articles and bylaws would have required. Because that really, the budget really was supposed to be reviewed and approved by council.
Yeah, and in
So-
the past, I mean, they brought it to council and said, this is our budget, and
I'm not seeing that
Here's-
or anything either,
Well,
so.
the only time we bring that to the council's attention is when we identify the amount of donations that we're gonna give out. And we say we're gonna keep $10,000 for overhead. And that's on that spreadsheet that we put together, identifying your overhead for the upcoming year. And then we list all the donations that the council approves to be sent out to everybody.
Aren't our
I don't
annual-
recall
every
that
year.
being in the council packet at all.
that's done
Let's
every
see.
year.
It's a donation sheet in December.
Yeah, our annual
That's a
meeting
line
is,
item at the very top. It says overhead.
our annual meeting is in November, and I'm pretty sure that whole thing went to council in like end of November or December.
Yeah.
When the decision is made. as
We
far as-
list our overhead going into the next year. In the past, it's been like 7,000, 8,000, and this year we raised it 10,000 just to have a little more cushion. And, but that cut back on our donations too, to all the different various members and National Night Out. Everybody, so.
I just don't know how for 50 years we survived and thrived. Why we'd want to change. And you made the comment, we're the only city that does it this way, and I see that as a positive. We're unique. And maybe we do, because I know a lot of vendors in Rochester Gold Rush, and they want to come to Orinoco Gold Rush because it's a quaint little city and it's run differently. So the uniqueness is not a downfall, that is a positive.
But how does separating that change that perspective?
I don't know, because I don't understand the whole legality.
I don't think
Understand
it
it.
does at all.
Well, and pretty much it just makes sure that we have 9 board members showing up, making decisions for Gold Rush, that are needed and necessary for this small town event. Where if we didn't have council, mandatory five council, well then, okay, then who knows if we're gonna have 5 members show up.
Well, and
don't
that,
know.
and that again is part of the discussion
Right.
for determining what size do you want? It's,
Those are some of the background that Mike put in his letter. It kind of explains the difference between the city and the corporation and how it should be separated, and why it should be separated. And I think that's, to Dana's point, I think that would help explain
Yeah.
everybody here why we're pursuing this separation.
So what we can share, I would really appreciate being able to share with everybody. It is helpful. And I sit on this fence, obviously, I'm totally on the fence on this whole thing. When I first joined in 2018, I said, why are we so tied in with the city? It was very evident at that point. I thought maybe it would be good to split. But it needs to be a really thoughtful process and we need to be able to afford it. I'm very much back onto the affordability of it. And then and change is hard after 50 years. You want to make sure that it stays. I just think that if we move, I think that we agree that we should move forward thoughtfully and we all agree that, I think we can all agree that we don't want to require people to be here that don't want to be here.
Yeah, I think we all agree on
Yeah.
that, but I do think, I feel strange on this committee that I feel very close to. When I come to a meeting and 3 or 4 people in the room say, well, the city said this and Mike says this, and we have to talk about this, and then we have questions, and they're like, well, we can't answer that for you. So you want me to vote one way or the other on a committee without having the
Information.
proper information?
Yeah.
It concerns us. We're like making a change to our committee and I don't even know what the changes say. Like, I don't know. I think that's weird.
It is.
And I do understand, okay, maybe that paperwork has stuff that needs to be redacted or something before we can see it. I don't know, whatever you gotta do, but I do think it's weird to sit on a committee that you have voting rights to and just be told, well, Mike said in this one letter, something about
That you
that
can't
and
see.
that you can't see and it's all okay.
Well,
Well,
we're the only
okay,
city doing it this way.
right, like, okay, I don't like it. I don't,
well, let me do this. I will get a hold of Mike and ask him if he's got to redact it or I don't want him to spend a lot of time reinventing either, but
Right.
maybe if we do the redaction and get that sent to you so you can have it in advance of your next
yeah, I
meeting.
just can't imagine what all could be in a letter that concerns us that is illegal for my eyes.
I know, and
Like, it's weird.
I don't
It's
know.
not so much this committee,
This is just.
it's
It's other
Legality,
city
two
ongoings in the
entities.
same
Yeah,
document.
yes.
Okay, that's all that needed to be said.
But there needs to be, because I 100% agree. I would never recommend somebody votes on something that they hadn't.
Especially when there's a lawyer involved, right? We have an attorney
Right.
involved and there's like, what, okay.
And I wouldn't.
well,
So I don't-
and let me be clear too, that we're not asking for a hard and fast vote. It's kind of a straw poll kind of thing. Do you support this move?
Well, we just wanna
And-
understand what the
and if you
pros
wanna
and cons are. I think we all
understand-
support, like, we don't want a mandatory council members in here. That's
Mhm.
fine, that can go away. But I just feel like maybe that can go away without having to do all the other bigger stuff. I don't know.
Well, and
Well said.
if you think
I
of
agree.
it in this context, it's like any other corporation. Transferring. By sale or whatever, transferring their assets, which is what the city would in effect be doing. Transferring. To the corporation, just from one body to the other. And again, that doesn't negate the fact that your dedicated council members can't participate as resident citizens. But think of it from their perspective too, on one hand, they're elected officials. When they're sitting at the council table, they have to have one hat on. When they're sitting here in this group, that's a different hat. And I gotta believe that there are some instances where that gets convoluted.
But isn't that true when, you know, they're wearing their other hat at the fire hall or their other hat at planning and zoning or their other hat on
There's
their
only-
other
There's
committees?
only one of us now on each of those,
Oh,
except for planning and zoning, there's still two, but there's only one representative.
but I mean, that is true. It can be said. You're still wearing
Right,
multiple
but you're
hats.
not
on
gonna be the
multiple-
majority,
So, right.
you know what I
And
mean?
that is the thing. I think we all are in agreement of that one thing.
Yeah.
Like that thing, fine, that can go away.
I
I don't think it should be
yeah.
mandatory.
I think.
I just
that
wanna understand the
always-
rest of the package.
Yeah, and I think it's always helpful to have a city voice in a meeting of any sort, you know, like whether it's food shelf or the, you know, age friendly, it's so helpful to have that voice. So I don't see that going away at all. But yeah, I don't know. I think they deserve more information and I think that would be amazing if we could do that. And now you know.
Yeah.
We have a consensus on certain things.
More info.
And that they want more, info. Yeah, that we.
Well, and to be clear too,
We have a consensus on maybe.
we have. There is no intent to push this through in advance or in the middle of this year's
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
That is totally off the table. It was just, wanting, again, just kind of the straw feel for if there's support for this, then there is time for us to work, specifically Mike and I to, because he's city attorney and he's willing to do this at, you know, to help facilitate this, and the city would pay that cost.
Do
But
you have
maybe-
any idea what that cost would be? Even just a rough figure? Cause I can't even put a number in my head.
Well, and I'm gonna be very clear with you, as a paralegal trained, much of that I see myself doing with his review. Cause I've drafted corporate documents.
But what you're saying is at this point, you have no idea.
I have no idea, other than, you know how frugal I am. I will keep the costs down, certainly. Because I know engineering, planning, and legal fees will blow a budget.
And you'll.
And we don't wanna be the thing that's costing the city a bunch of money, like, if all the big problem is that we just needed not mandatory council members on our board. And we could do that for free, then let's do that for free. If the city is gonna incur a couple of $1,000s in trying to separate from us, is that worth it? I'm sure we can maintain a very reasonable relationship and work on all the things we need to do, but I don't know that how many thousand, I mean, it could be thousands of dollars, like, I don't know, is that sensible? I mean, that's a con for the city, I don't know.
You gotta figure attorney fees are probably $500 an hour.
Exorbitant, I'm sure.
No, they're not $500.
So you're gonna reach out to
Mike
Mike,
is $189.
so just kind of wrap this up.
Yeah, just so you know, we're looking probably, having documents, I'm guessing September, I think, or very earliest, and probably not until October.
So you're gonna reach out to Mike to see what he can share with
Yes,
Gold Rush as a whole.
yes.
But the letter, I think, would be very beneficial if that could be, it explains the history, why we're doing this. From a legality standpoint,
Thank you.
okay?
Yep.
Sorry,
But I
thank you.
stopped it again.
Thanks for
but I-
dropping
but
the
I-
note off.
Really? I was like, did he not come tonight? So yeah, but that was my question too, just for participation in even discussions, if you wanted a task force, if you will. Kind of even one council person, one, whatever.
Good, thank
Whatever
you.
you guys decide. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, handprint, Kristen, you said Summer magazine worked out good.
Yeah, we are in, the summer magazine, worked that out with Tessa, they made us a nice ad, so. With a couple more pictures, so that is the ad that I'm also using in other publications as well. All of our, the hard print, Also, again, working with the Cresco Shopper and Peggy Lovelace out there, and then also working with, Today on a couple of print ads, some shoppers, and then another little magazine with, Cannon Falls Beacon. They also own two other publications as well. One's more of like a magazine type of a thing. And so working with her, and this is the ad that we had that coupon in, like if they bring this ad to us, then they get this free item.
Yeah.
We didn't do that at all last year, and so do we still, the question, she just submitted the ad to me, and it's just it's a one color, just coupon thing. I was hoping to do something a little bit more there, unless you feel like that really, really works. And then what are we giving away? Like, what is the gift?
It's always whatever we've got extra of laying around.
Do we have like junk downstairs sorry to
We
say junk.
don't have a
amazing
ton of
stuff?
stuff anymore. It used to be the red bag
There were pins
and
and
pens.
pins. There were button backs too for a long time.
Those buttons are so.
Cause we kind of got rid of all of that extra stuff like last year, I know.
And even the
people
old
took it.
t-shirts, we sold tons of those.
Yeah,
Those
so I
are
don't think we
pretty much
have
gone.
anything besides the bags that are new, and those are like, we're charging $8, they're about $3.60 to print. But, so that was my question for tonight, is do we want to do that? And then if we did that, it would probably that would probably be something that we would put in.
When we do that, then we probably have to.
So we have to order some kind of
The
price.
thing that we did that for, correct me if I'm wrong, is to, because then you would write where it would shopper, so that it was kind of a way to track where people were finding us at.
So far, it's just this one,
Yeah.
and we didn't place any of that anywhere else. I'm wondering if it's something we just want to get a new ad, or if that
I think,
brought people to the infos.
yeah, I think there were some people last year that actually had the coupon. I don't remember where.
There was a couple, I don't know if
Yeah.
it's worth it though.
Well, and nobody ever did anything with the information.
No,
You know,
we
we
never did.
collected it.
That's
And I
right.
think the first year we tallied it and nobody did anything
That's
with it, so.
Okay,
Let it go.
Change it up.
let's move on.
But it brought, somewhere it said if you bring a donation to the food shelf,
No,
then they got a free gift also.
hear that.
I think that was in that coupon.
Well, if we're not printing that anymore, then that's not a thing either.
Right.
We can just advertise that we're collecting if that's something, but if that's something we want to do, but the issue is like, it was very few things. And just speaking from the food shop, I don't need to say I'm a representative, but I don't know if the amount of food we get is worth that, you know? Like, there's more food out there right now from our citizens than we collect for a whole weekend from people,
Okay.
so.
Okay, so that's maybe just change it and do something a little bit, do something more updated like we're doing the other things. So, yeah, keep it on. Our radio is placed for that, and then I'll be placing more starting in July and
Okay.
Thank you.
just keep it on.
This isn't on here, but do I have a budget for Facebook promotion this year?
Yeah, we did
I
that.
think
You
we
weren't
had
here.
$500,
Yeah,
wasn't
you
it?
weren't here, so we just approved whatever you had last year, I think.
And that was $250. But I think we
April minute.
did.
I really think that we did.
You were here about-
April, I would, that, did we approve it? in
May,
April?
May.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a meeting, you weren't
I
here.
haven't seen it. I can watch the meeting, but
So
I
we
don't.
said, we'll just leave it, and then if you wanted more, then you could ask for more. I think we just did whatever you had last year.
Yep.
Cause you weren't here to speak for yourself.
You know, here, a trophy.
Okay, so looking at the agenda, we talked about advertising to vendors. We're going to put together a list of
By June 8th, list of antique vendors. Or is helping
So
me.
down to
Look at
trailer insurance. item P.
Yeah, what's going
What's
on?
happening?
So
Trailer insurance.
liability insurance wants to know the value of a trailer and the contents for insurance, right? That's what they're asking.
Yeah, and I wonder if that would be, okay, so. I don't know, I have the paperwork downstairs on my desk, but I sent them information regarding the trail vehicle. And I said no, because the trailer does not. Isn't used on a city road, other than to get it from one spot to the
Oh,
other. So we're not looking at it as a,
It's a storage facility, really.
Right.
Yeah.
right, so I parked.
Okay, so I didn't need to find out how much it was worth. So what, I did go ahead and find out it was built in 2004, so we probably had it for 20 plus years. And so it's has a serial number tag on it, built in February 2004. I talked to the dealer in Byron and he said it probably may be worth $2,000
Perfect.
in good condition. If we
With good tires on it.
with bad tires on it,
Oh, with the bad tires?
well, they should be replaced
Are they original?
with that 200 yards.
Probably.
once a year.
They've only gone up and down. a
Right.
hill.
They're not worn out, they're just weather
We don't
checked.
Get a title,
Yeah.
we don't have to get a title for
Why do we need
it,
to?
so I went to the license bureau, they said, well, it's over 7 years. They've expounded the record, so there's no title available, so we either have to apply for a new one, that's why they won the market value, but now we need to. We don't.
You just stick a lifetime license on that sucker, sell it with a bill of sale if we ever have to.
It
It's
was
good to go.
homemade.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
That's the secret word.
What's that?
It was homemade
$3,500.
and they will grant you a title.
Yes.
They will.
You just say it's homemade.
Okay.
Yep.
Done.
More item, and then we'll sandwich boards, discussing the use of those
You know, when it's closer.
Yeah,
when it gets closer.
Yeah.
Later.
we're not ready for it.
I can, yeah, spend that week before.
Okay, before we adjourn, let's go back and just. Says to serve as Kane's contacted them. Sheriff hours, that's very clear. Civil Air Patrol. Joanne sent a letter out on May 11th. Did you get a response yet?
No, you got Sergeant Taylor for Civil Air, he needs to go up to the sheriff's. Isn't that the guy that was just
Yes.
sitting there? Yeah. He's be moved. Yeah, so anyway, I sent a letter to Civil Air Patrol.
Try this again.
Oh, you hit cut again. Oh, okay. Get anxious.
Okay, 4 tires don't need. King was thinking the tires are looking pretty bad, but I think they're okay, but it's gonna cost $100 a tire if we wanna replace them. At Joe's discount for the size of tires it takes. Promotion materials, we just talked about that. You confirmed the CERM event, liquor license, they've been approved. Council meeting at the May meeting.
So regarding the liquor license, I talked to the new owner of Anderson's building. And he is applying, he's gonna sell liquor out of his building during Gold Rush. So he's gonna be selling it on his private property. And he said that he filled out paperwork with the city to get a liquor license. He had to fill it out for the state and for the city. So.
Yeah, that white one.
I remember him talking about it, but I don't know if he did it or not.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
is
we
it a
have-
temporary license. Or
No, I think
permanent?
it's gonna be a permanent one. He wants to do it,
He doesn't plan on opening business.
For a
unless you
year or
don't want, 2025.
He just reserved a license. Because we only have so many to give out, so he wants a temporary one?
That's the way
I hope it's a temporary, because
I think so.
we need to look at our ordinance for liquor licenses anyway, and I have a suggestion how we can
The
help
building
that
with the new
situation.
windows.
Yeah.
Panic cooking, I knew
It's gonna
something.
be a-
As long as it's a temporary one, that's fine.
sheets of green apple and.
Event license.
I'm not positive,
Second
but
Street.
I know Jeff and I think he,
And they're gonna have like.
We're happy.
but
yeah.
verify that it's temporary, I think it is.
So how do I get like a business permit from the city?
He does that with the city, so.
Oh, I'm
When
sorry.
I talk to him, I'm like, hey, you got that
Okay.
good city, so.
I didn't know. Okay.
Okay,
need to talk to.
yeah, so we'll have another liquor
I'll tell you who to talk to.
bar here.
Like
in-
the girl.
Like construction.
Yeah.
Separate township, so I don't know. It's probably not the same. She had to go through a bunch of data.
Yeah, I need to know, I need to get started on that.
Okay,
Okay.
Side talk.
Liquor license,
All right.
we're in.
it's temporary, yeah.
Okay, so
We're an
10,
easy sell
Um,
over here. Liquor.
Yes.
That's how where my brain is.
we have those two 10 by 10 tents. And one of them, we have to put duct tape around and make
Cheesy.
it happen. So I talked to Johan, from the fire department training, and they bought a 10 by 10 tent is like $200. We've talked about maybe replacing our two 10 by 10s with maybe a 10 by 20.
Mhm.
The same company has a tent and it's it's $400 for a 10 by 20. Same quality that he had, and he was very impressed by it. I put the link in here. If that's something we want to consider doing,
To rent it or to buy it?
then
To rent it or to buy it?
buy it.
Help me understand, is that from where we put the ice trailer?
Yeah, right
in
in
front
front
of
of
the post office?
Two tents, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my only question is there enough physical space to not interfere with the entrance to the post office and all those things, if we go to a 10 by 20?
Well, we have
Well,
two
it-
10 by 10s right now, right?
Yeah, but he wants two
So
10
I'm
by
gonna
20.
replace the two 10 by 10 by
Oh,
one.
One
10 by
10 by
20.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you,
Good question.
good, no,
I think that that's a good idea. I think we should replace it, although I do feel like we should wait and see what profits are after this show and do it with proceeds. Right? Don't you think? Or you want to get it for
$200?
this show,
$200,
400.
400,
400, sorry.
or you
We
want it
could
for
get
this
someone
show?
to buy it.
So,
And we could take the two remaining ones and sell them online.
That's right.
one we
And
can,
get
the other we
some
can
money
take to the trash can.
Huh?
One is really shot.
Oh, no, I'll fix it.
You'll fix it, okay.
A little more duct tape.
And
It would look nice to have one nice, it would look really
Yes.
professional and like we're not duct
and
taping
Kristen
it.
just had a really good idea.
Who can we get
Let
to
me do
sponsor
my,
that?
let me do my fat mouthing in town and I'll get some sponsor. I'll
Let's
get
get
some
someone to buy
fundraising
it.
money. I'll go get us some money. I'll go
Alright.
get us some money for a tent.
Yeah. So that would be really nice to use if we could at National Night Out
Mhm.
for you guys,
I always
would be
bring ours from
amazing.
home,
I
our
know.
10 by 10.
but it's hot out there.
Yes, it is.
But
And
if we
so-
bought a one 10 by 20, then we'd have an extra 10 by 10, so you could use
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
My 10, it's really.
Wait a minute now, these are separate entities, Gold Rush and National Night Out, two
But we
different
are
things.
recruiting at National Night
That's
Out.
for next
We
year.
are working.
We sponsor it.
Gold Rush sponsors it.
Goldberg sponsored that.
Just wanted clarity.
I would like to note that fat mouthing is going in the minutes.
Oh, that's, oh, God, that's not.
So,
Now they're not gonna give me any money.
She said,
If we
And so
did get
let me
it, I
go
think
do
we
some
ought
fat mouthing around town and get us some money is what I said. She started laughing. She goes, I'm putting that in the minutes.
to- If we were to get a new tent, I think it should be a red one. Because we just say, go find the white
Under
tent
the
down
red
by,
tent,
and they're
yeah.
all white.
Oh,
The red
Oh,
tent
good
at the
point.
post office.
Or
That's a
like
good idea.
yellow. for
red
Gold
or
Rush.
gold, yellow.
I think, oh,
Gold.
You'll, if you go to the website,
did the gold not look good?
it doesn't,
But it's still gold.
We
I
want
think
it to
red is
stand out.
super sharp
Yeah, red.
and is very bright. You
it's
cannot
not our
miss it.
yellow gold like we have.
That's true. I mean, red
We
is,
can wait, I just throw it out there
No,
because
that's
we,
I think it's a great idea.
I think we need it.
I'm all about anything to polish it.
Yep.
I,
we go ahead and order it.
red,
I,
I make a motion to move by a 10,
I'll second.
I'll third it.
10 by 20, 10 from Amazon.
And hopefully I'll get you a refund.
Yes, refund,
Yes.
sponsor.
I'll get you a sponsor.
$404 that has free shipping.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Okay.
Okay,
we need to vote.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Let's get down here. Here's some exciting news. Ice. I called the ice guy. He's out of business.
Oh, God.
The good news is a company bought him called Home City Ice from someplace in Ohio. Bernie, the owner, he said, I sold it, but they kept the facility there. So I, went to their website, sent a message off in a chat. Guy called me back about 2 hours later and he says, yeah, we can do it for you. So it's in the notes. They offer 20-pound bags for $4.25. A year ago it was $4.80.
I was gonna
So
say,
it went
that's
down.
Right, that's, yeah, it went down.
Great. Moving in the right
A
direction.
couple of things is that one, they don't do 5-pound bags anymore. All they do is 20-pound bags.
Ooh,
Did we get rid of a lot of 5-pound bags or did most
About
people
30.
want the 20?
so we could buy the 5-pound bags.
5-pound gold bag.
and just throw, them in the
Walmart.
ice trailer.
Yep.
So, but the trailer rent went up from $200 to $320.
Oh.
So last year, in the notes there, we bought 208 bags of 20 pounds. And we ended up with having to buy 80 of them because we didn't use them. So I suggested 130 20-pound bags at $552. Trailer rental is $320. And delivery and pickup is $140 for a total of $1,012. They delivered on that Wednesday afternoon on the 16th and pick it up on Monday or Tuesday after the event.
And what are we charging for a 20-pound bag of ice? Was it $8?
We paid.
No, what are we
What are
charging?
we charging?
Sell them.
Sorry.
What did we
Wasn't
charge?
it $8?
Notes.
$8, I think it was.
I think it was $8.06. I can check.
Or 2 for 10, wasn't it, Mel?
I don't think it was 2 for 10, it was 2 for.
I'm trying to
15.
remember the
2 for
price.
15, maybe it was, or $8 a bag, or 2 for 15.
So if we did 20,
I think
100.
leaving at 8 would be a nice.
Round
So
number.
the ice itself, like, would bring in $1,040, charging it, you know,
So it's literally a $30 proceed for all of our time and effort.
well, yeah, if we just did the ice itself, it would make up for everything. We're literally not making anything for the trailer rental and the ice. And maybe I did the math wrong, but I just
No, you
took
didn't,
the,
that's why I got my calculator. out,
Okay.
because that didn't make sense. And so that's not really something that's profitable, but it is something that
isn't
it's
it?
needed. It's hot weather, the vendors, they need it. They need it. I think we had to do it just because they need it. Again, maybe this is another area again where some of that sponsorship money, we gotta go back to just focusing more on getting more. Going back and doing some more
I mean,
fundraising.
we could put it right on the trailer, side of the trailer, like sponsored by
Yes,
ICE. 2023 ICE sponsored by.
yeah.
How much are chest coolers or freezers, just out of curiosity? They're like $150 at Costco.
Home City? Okay, thank you.
Aren't they cheap? Like if
I
we
think it
got,
depends.
like, I'm just thinking our, like, one, I know it's not like that big trailer. We don't need to have these like all year long, but I'm wondering if we're renting it for $300 and some, if we could buy 3 chest freezers and keep them, and then we don't have that rental fee, but we probably wouldn't be able to get as many bags, 130 bags of ice?
We had 200 in the trailer last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, that the trailer is great. It's very convenient, but I'm
Yeah.
just wondering if there's
Exactly,
anything.
storage.
But this is one of
Maintenance.
those things where I think if it's a necessity for the show and it's a necessity for the vendors, but it's not, it's
Not a
it's not a
moneymaker.
profitable thing for us. And this is the place where we need to look at going back and doing sponsorships or
Yep.
fundraising, because this is just a strictly overhead. This is a show cost, period.
Yep.
Um,
I mean, cause if I think of, oh, I'm buying it for $8, like, whoa, they're making bank, but then if we know, like, we're literally not making anything, plus we're using our volunteers to deliver it to you, this is completely because we love you.
yes, this is
I
a
mean,
convenience
100%,
thing.
this is, we're paying to have this here for you.
Good point.
So are we still okay with $8 for 20 pounds?
I don't know that we can actually charge more than that.
Yeah, I
No.
think
Same
that's
as
like,
last year.
Yeah.
mhm.
And 6 for 5 pounds.
I think we'll have 5 pounders.
We'll buy some though. We'll go to,
Or can we buy
It's 2.
5-pound bag, empty bags? No.
We don't wanna touch it, cause we can't actually like have our, it has to be.
We'll just buy a
sealed.
bunch of 5-pound bags and chuck them in the ice trailer.
Exactly.
Just bring your. wear
So
your
we
parka
should
and
have a
put you in the trailer.
volunteer.
Yes,
You're okay.
gloves, Corey. You get air conditioning all weekend long.
Once again, if you fill it with half full of beer, okay.
I did.
If it's no beer, no deal. Of my choice, of course.
Okay, we got it.
Okay.
Jim Phillips had some comments about the dumpsters, and I'll put that up.
Oh,
Food vendor locations. That's where we got a $1,500 quote just for the new box, so we decided not to do that, so that's closed
Mhm.
out. Miners, I talked to the Christie at Miners and yesterday, 30th, Wednesday, Tuesday. Last year we had 9 2-seaters, 4 4-seaters, and 1 utility. There was a comment about having 1 4-seater for a volunteer schedule.
if the sheriffs can bring their own golf
Google.
No,
If the sheriffs brought their own vehicle to get around with, do they look a little bit more official? And are
And
they
it
gonna
saves
charge
us
us
money.
more? And we would have a less of a, I mean, I just didn't wanna say that in front of it, but I'm wondering if our cost for them, if they were to use their own vehicle, if that would make it
and he
more
offered, he
expensive.
said, we have a Ranger, we can bring your, do I need that?
We did.
Yes, we should have probably said yes, cause
We didn't ask if there would be an additional cost.
Which would be a
to us
good
for that.
question.
Would you be able to look into that?
I can email them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we just say, is there any cost involved with the Ranger? We're finalizing our count for golf carts and
well,
we
one, I
think
think
that
that
would
makes
be
it look more
helpful.
official.
Right,
Like,
it
it's
does-
like,
it
it's
is.
more of a presence, they're not, I mean,
Definitely.
who's gonna, a golf cart,
Right.
you are not gonna chase anyone down on a golf cart.
Hey, what about the Mounties?
Huh?
Give them
Horseback?
horses?
They have them in Sheep Fest, that's Goodhue County, but they have horses.
Well, would be everywhere.
Don't look at me like that, I'm not making this up.
Well, they could have used them the other day.
Where, oh.
Down at
Ooh,
At our
the
backyard.
water.
Were you
Taking
follow horses
pictures.
around then, or?
No, they were following me around.
Okay, so that would be a good question. If we could check with the sheriffs and just see what we are interested if the price would stay the same, but I'm afraid to ask that. Too.
So did he, okay, so
He said, would it be helpful for us to, we have access to a Ranger, our own vehicle? And we were like, no, we have a golf cart for you, like, but then if that would make the price different,
Right.
or if we'd have one more handicap cart available or to make money.
So we have some time, so, and I should have done this. But I'll bring, at the, July meeting, I'll bring our list of uses for the carts. So did we say we're gonna drop a rental cart this year? Or did we talk about dropping rental carts?
There was some discussion about that just because the cost had gone up so significantly. But then again, we were looking at the 2022 golf cart assignment. Which there were substantially more carts, like this year. Like Carol and Joanne are both not getting carts. That's one cart that is Joanne's.
Right, Carol does not need it. Will she be here?
Sheriff's Department, if they bring their Ranger, we don't need that one. And that, or like Kristen said, that's an opportunity to make money. Do we have that cart still delivered? And then we have 2 rental units that people
Joanne-
pay us to rent.
Do we-
2-hour rental for.
Do you rent? They don't pay anything, they just use it.
They pay.
How much do they pay?
I wanna say it's $70 for like a full day.
No,
Yeah.
we gotta have like $75 for 3 hours. Or like
I was
$70 for like 3
2
hours.
Like a 2-hour time slot.
That,
like,
so many
I
people
mean,
said to me how awesome that was.
We do a half a day or a full day, and most of them are half a days.
I don't think we should
Half a day
offer,
for $75?
No, a half a day is 35.
I don't think we
Oh,
should
yeah.
rent, I don't think we should rent them out for a whole day because those guys that need those carts, they're not here all day.
No,
They're not here all day. No way.
2-hour slot.
I think
or
we should
3
do,
hours
yeah,
slot.
3 hour,
Well, which would be. well, no, I
because we
guess-
can rent it out more times during the day, per day.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have 2 of those, we can actually recover some of our golf cart overhead.
Yeah.
I think we need to be
So
savvy about
2
some of our expenses.
Yeah, cause we're not. So how many golf carts were
Potentially,
available
we-
last year? 2?
well, we had one, but you were renting out yours or an extra one.
Right?
Oh, yes, because Christine didn't come. We were using Christine's.
Like Jim
Well, we had one
Richards,
break,
cause he
we
wasn't here on.
One day he wasn't.
had one breakdown.
Yeah, and you weren't here one day, and so we rented out yours, like,
Yep.
Right.
yeah, we just kind of used whichever one was the extra one that day.
So that's great. So we've always had two going,
Not
but if we
always.
only rent them to two people a day, that's, well,
Last year we had 14 golf carts that we rented.
Mm-hmm.
Good
Let's come
idea.
back at the July meeting, firm that up.
Okay.
Radios, electricians, that's been taken care of. Jim was, I think he's talked to the fire department about what was the spreadsheet. I talked to Peter today, and we're on his calendar for safety signs. And we'll touch base again late July, early August, but it'll be the same arrangement as last year, because we were all on the west side last year. Sandwich boards, we'll do that later. Poster boards, I think rest of these are table rentals. Joanne sent a letter out to Summertime. Did you get a response?
No, not yet.
Okay.
How many do we, are we requesting?
Tables?
25.
We did
And the vendors
purchase,
have their own, vendors contact Summertime directly.
I just want to make the comment that Public Works or City of Orinoco, we purchased a dozen
Oh, really?
new ones. So
Yeah,
there
new one.
could be,
Oh.
I'm just saying, there could be
Yeah,
some
yeah.
potential to reduce that number and we could supply more.
Because they're replacing the wooden ones.
Right,
But
but
like-
we haven't scrapped or sold any of the wooden.
Yeah, so we.
They're still
can-
usable, they're just for showing their age.
Picnic tables?
Pardon me?
I want two.
No, they're like, aren't they like
Broad
these
property.
with wood?
Picnic tables?
They haven't been offered for sale yet.
No, the parks, the ones in the park, like down at Orinoco Park
Right.
that
Oh,
have been there
yes.
forever, like at National Night Out.
Yep.
We're slowly going to
Oh,
replace those.
the big
with
wooden
metal
ones?
Yes.
Like those?
No, these have the seats on the side,
Yeah, like
regular
picnic
picnic table.
It's like a picnic table. But we need to. Yeah, so you're right, though, there'll be extra ones maybe.
Right,
There'll be extra
Yeah, we
picnic
haven't
tables
decided, I think it
or?
was.
because we ordered, I think, a dozen.
Yeah,
They're all the metal, expanded metal type with plastic coating on them, which are an Orinoco Park.
And remember also, we talked
Okay.
about, because we're not having vendors on the east side. After the show last year, I think it was one of my notes or one of our notes, it might even have been, we talked about. Having some sort of like. Seating behind the food trucks on Minnesota Avenue on
Yeah.
the east side, going down one of the side streets.
Yeah.
Doing a row of picnic tables,
Yeah.
like.
We needed
Four and
seating.
then four, because we did not have enough seating or shade.
Yeah.
And especially for like food and people with children, so we were thinking, that
Good
was one of
idea.
our notes.
Yeah.
Cause that we could do like a side street over there off Minnesota Ave and have
Right on
picnic tables,
Second Street.
like one of those,
First Street.
across from the
Right next
fire
to the
department,
base.
like,
Yes.
I think it was Midtown. I'm backwards over here, yes. But on the east side, since there wouldn't be vendors, let's try to get some seating over
Exactly.
there.
We can put it in the grass.
Yeah.
Towing. You'll give him a call, Pulvers, just let him know.
I did call we got the striping, I did do that. Just FYI.
Yeah, if you wanna just
I did,
mainly just get him on the calendar.
yep.
Same thing with the dumpster is just. Touch base with these guys.
I'm not dumpster diving. Yes.
Okay, I think we're. Street sewer construction, there's no change, everything is gonna be on the east side. And anything else?
About, sorry.
Nope.
No,
No. Okay.
I'm working, I'm almost finished with the car show poster for this year. I know a lot of those shows start in June, so I'll send you guys a digital one and get you some hard copies and whatever. We're doing that.
Are we gonna discuss where we're gonna have it? We're gonna have it at the park again or not?
I think that exactly how it worked out last year was awesome.
It was.
I like that they were in the center. They liked to be in the center in that flat spot. I think that being inside the circle worked really well.
I loved it also, and the car show people did, but the enthusiast spectators couldn't
Couldn't find
find
it.
Oracle
Correct.
Park.
That's right.
And they could not find the VFW hot dog stand. But we gotta
The
make.
hot dog thing, I think we have figured out. We cannot, and I said, I worried when they started setting up in the pavilion. I said, you know, you guys are over that hill, no one can see you. You guys really need to set up here. Oh, no, well, people were sick, people had COVID, they had just random people helping them. I just didn't want to interfere. But I am gonna bring that 10 by 10 tent.
Mhm.
And they're gonna be on the
perfect.
hill next to, hopefully the fire department will let us use their ranger again with the PA, so that we're all right there.
Like in that walkway, like in that, like where did they say? I know that
Right,
They were in
like-
the pavilion, but like,
They were in the pavilion, everybody, all of the cars were parked in the main circle when you go in on the inside of the
Yep.
loop. And then I guess there were some on the outside on
Yep.
the tree line.
Mhm.
And then we had like our stand registration, PA, whatever, right by the memorial plaque.
okay, sure.
And then they had their food set up down in the pavilion, which was over the hill and nobody out front like.
Yeah, you could,
And also, if they did see them, it was a good huck and it was hot out, so.
Yeah.
Unless you were dying of thirst, people were like, I'll just eat when we get back.
So
to
we'll,
main drink."
I think we
Okay.
can do better. I'll do better with promoting it how to get to the car show, like on social media and our website too.
And part of that was me too. I focused so hard on recruiting people to get the cars there that I wasn't, in my state of mind, I wasn't doing the recruiting for the visitors, I
And
guess.
then now people will know, right? Like, I think too, that'll help. That'll help.
Well, help me, Mel, clarification. So you wanna put the food tent by where Jane Crouch used to live? On the little,
Well, where do you think the PA should be this year? I had it up on the hill looking kind of down at everybody last year,
right,
but
but what about the food stand?
I was thinking they'd be right by us.
Okay.
Like have our little registration table there, have the tent with the food right there, have the unit with the PA right, all right there. Looking down, so when everybody's down at the show and they're looking up, we're right there.
Good.
Or do you think it's better, we could be in the shade over by where Jane's house was?
The only thought process I have is power commitments. There's a power pole there for a fourplex outlet and that's it.
The last 4 months of her life, she had bought the house that is on the property where you walk into the park.
yeah.
She was not up on the hill at the auction house anymore. She had just moved in. She wasn't even all the way unpacked.
Everyone.
She bought that house. She was there 4 months. She wasn't even fully unpacked. So right where that little trail is, where they cut everything out,
Right
put
on
on the
the left.
nice bedding where you cut through
To the right or the left. You're walking into the park.
on the right.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like a little cream colored Rambler modular home.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. So her oldest son and his. I call Carla his wife because they've been together 4 years, but they're not married. They live there now.
Okay.
But that is a shady area. I do feel like for visitors and other, that's it. Yep, okay, do that.
Well, like I said, I think you were talking to Dana, but the only concern I have is power, electricity. Is somewhat limited. There's one light pole, I think, with a fourplex on it.
None of us really need,
Extension cord from the restrooms, that's where all the power is set. There's-
Yeah, but we're talking way on the other end though. Not near the restrooms.
Oh, down by the flag.
Yeah,
but you know what, Corey, we
Generator.
don't need power for that. They
hot
had,
pants or hot,
no, they grilled hot dogs and burgers and then they had
Oh,
chips and coolers and
okay.
pop. Yeah, I don't think, and then the PA we don't need power for. Yeah, we don't even need power for
okay,
the car
we're
show.
good then.
Yeah, we'll just move over to the shade. That's a good
Okay.
idea.
I like
Yeah, I
it.
was trying to think what if they didn't have, yeah.
Yep.
They just had
And
burgers
that
and,
kind of could be the gateway when people are walking down
yes.
Fourth Street. Oh, hey.
And
I see
maybe
that.
we can, yes, and that will
Yeah,
be more presence.
Picnic
Thank
table.
you.
Like come this way, car show here, and then maybe we get a sandwich board for the, by the Public Works building.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was down too far last
Yep.
year. It was, we had it down the block. And I think it needs to be up.
And like bigger, like things, everything needs to be bigger, like really obvious,
Mhm.
like,
And maybe even more throughout the show, just to advertise the car show, like car show Saturday at 2 o'clock, car shows, you
Right.
know, what, just something simple, but maybe have those around too.
Okay,
Okay,
sounds good.
okay, okay, we can do that.
Good.
And I'm all for being in the shade. I'm not gonna argue. with you. I'm not gonna argue that, not for 1 second.
Another takeaway from the meeting was that we're not gonna do the, 4-page sheets of taking pictures by the info booth. Stick your heads through those things. We're not gonna do those.
oh,
Oh, the pop, yeah,
Yeah, that's a lot of labor.
No, I didn't
It is a
realize
lot
it
of
was so
fun.
much, yeah, ditch them.
It's a lot of effort for the.
I don't
15
know
adults
any-
that use them, yeah.
the only ones that were using them were the kids that were volunteering when they get dropped off at the info booth, like.
Yeah.
I think I had
Sure.
17 pictures of Brielle
Yes,
There are a lot of adults
in
that
there.
stoop down to get their picture.
did they really? That's funny.
Those t-shirts did go though with that artwork on them. I mean, they were kind of
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
cool.
They're vintage.
Mm-hmm.
I make a motion, meeting adjourned.
I'll second that.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Adjourned at 8:36.
Bree, you didn't die.
So my question
I
was.
didn't die
off the
either.
record
It's
now,
8:30.
who do I contact if we wanted to add one more sewer hookup to our property? Is it too late?
What, for your cabin? You wanna put a bathroom down there?